U-Haul is one of the largest moving truck, trailer, and self-storage rental companies in the United States. While the company has existed in some capacity for almost 80 years, the story of how it came to be so successful is filled with family drama so extreme that some members actually believe two of the brothers of the founding family murdered the wife of another. The incredible and almost unbelievable story of how two brothers created U-Haul by scamming their father sounds like a murder mystery novel, but this is exactly what happened. Before U-Haul was a leading storage and rental company, it was a simple side business started by Leonard Shoen and his wife, Anna Mary Carty, in Ridgefield, Washington in 1945. Their idea was simple. With an investment of only $5,000, the couple started building rental trailers that they would keep at local gas stations for people to rent, drive to their destination, and leave the trailers at a different gas station. In order to keep the gas stations happy, they split the profits for those that would hold the trailers until they were reserved and moved. While the couple started by buying used trailers, the issues they presented were extremely frustrating. Therefore, LS, as he was affectionately known, learned how to weld and started building the trailers himself. It turned out to be one of LS's best ideas, as it kept costs low and ensured the trailers functioned properly. At first, they only charged $2 per day to rent a U-Haul trailer. And with this affordable price point and gas stations all over the country, U-Haul was almost immediately successful. By 1955, U-Haul had more than 10,000 trucks and trailers available to its customers. And it seemed that LS and Anna Mary had truly created something that Americans needed and wanted. They were providing a beautiful life for themselves and their children, but everything was about to change. In 1957, less than 10 years after the Sweethearts started their business, Anna Mary sadly died of a heart attack due to a congenital defect. It's said that LS believed that her death was a direct consequence of their business success, but it would soon become clear that her passing was only the beginning of the Shoen family's troubles. The two had 6 children together, and in seconds, Leonard was a single father to a large family and felt completely lost. So he quickly remarried Suzanne Gilbaugh in order to provide a mother figure for his existing children, and he also had 5 more children with his new wife. They divorced 19 years later, and LS married 3 more times and fathered 2 more children. Even with this complicated personal life, Leonard continued to work tirelessly to keep U-Haul not only profitable, but ensuring that it continued to grow into a large and extremely successful business. It's said that LS consistently worked 16 hours a day and was constantly on the road moving trailers and trucks from point A to point B and making sure his customers and gas station partners were happy. And by the 1980s, 40 years after U-Haul started renting its first trailers, the company was known around the country and was considered an absolute success. Unfortunately, things were about to take a disastrous turn for the Shoen family. LS and his first wife, Anna Mary, were equal partners in the business, and when she died, her 50% was divided equally among their 6 children. But although LS could have kept his 50% as he was still alive, over the years he had transferred all but 2% of the business to his 13 children. Some say that LS did so in order to ensure his children both understood and were able to make money off the business, while others argue it was in order to avoid taxes. Either way, this decision to bequeath almost all the shares of U-Haul to his many children caused an incredible amount of drama within the family. Here's what happened. By the 1980s, all of his oldest children wanted to be assigned high-ranking positions within the successful company. While this wouldn't normally be a problem, because there were so many of them with differing opinions on how U-Haul should be managed, the children started to fight amongst themselves. Reports state that the children, who were now adults, didn't just disagree, they literally fought violently at board meetings. And their personal issues and vendettas made running the company together virtually impossible. LS's eldest sons, Mike and Sam, agreed with their father on most, if not all things regarding the business. However, 2 of his other sons, Joe and Mark, saw things very differently. Essentially, LS, Mike, and Sam were all on the same page when it came to diversifying their services. Instead of just trucks and trailers, they wanted to rent dance floors, punch bowls, motorhomes, jet skis, and a variety of other party and entertainment equipment. However, it was immediately clear that this was not going to be a successful tactic. In fact, almost immediately, profits plummeted from $42 million in 1985 to $9.2 million in 1986. U-Haul was now in an almost unbelievable $600 million in debt. The company was floundering, so Joe and Mark decided to take matters into their own hands. They decided they would betray their father and brothers, and essentially held a coup at a board meeting in 1986. Mark and Joe forced their father out of the company, and while LS agreed to leave without much pushback in order to save what was left of his business, he did request that Sam be promoted to CEO in his place. Of course, Mark and Joe, working alongside Sam, were never going to work, and it only took a few weeks after being assigned the position for Sam to quit. But that didn't mean Sam was giving up on U-Haul. He and his father decided that they would create their own plan of attack in order to get control of the company back from Mark and Joe, and do things the way they wanted once again. Unfortunately for Sam and LS, their takeover plan didn't work. Joe was able to cancel his father's lifelong employment contract, leaving him with nothing. Not even a retirement fund. But sadly, this wasn't even the most terrible event of the family feud. On August 6, 1990, Sam's wife Eva was murdered in her home. While Sam was away, someone entered their home and shot Eva in the back with a pistol. Sam was devastated by the loss of his beloved wife and, of course, was dedicated to finding out what happened in his home that night. He told the general public that he would give an incredible $250,000 to anyone with information regarding his wife's murder. And things got even weirder. The authorities reported that the murder seemed to be completed by a professional, or at least someone who intended to murder Eva. Essentially, the act was not an accident or even a coincidence, and LS didn't think so either. In fact, he believed that his sons, Joe and Mark, murdered Eva in order to get back at himself and Sam for attempting to take back the company. His thought process was that Joe and Mark had hired a hitman to kill Sam, but accidentally killed Eva instead when Sam wasn't home. He is quoted as saying, "I believe one or both of these sons are indirectly responsible for Eva's death. I hope and pray that I'm wrong, but that's what I believe." Of course, Joe and Mark claimed they had nothing to do with Eva's murder and attempted to clear their names by employing the public to come forward with any information, just as Sam was doing. At the same time, Joe and Mark filed a libel suit against their father for his slanderous comments. The family went back to court, and everything got even more complicated. The wife of the lawyer representing Sam started getting death threats in the mail. Attacks on her home, threatening phone calls, and much more troubled the lawyer and his wife. But it got much worse when their home was burned to the ground. By 1994, a man admitted to killing Eva when he apparently attempted to rob the home and found her there. Joe and Mark were completely acquitted, and no one was ever charged in regard to the harassment and arson at the home of Sam's lawyer. Sadly, even after all the drama seemingly ended, LS continued to struggle with his own personal demons. And many say he felt personally responsible for the destruction of his family. After everything that had happened, LS didn't want to live any longer and committed suicide in 1999. The story of LS's creation of the giant and financially successful company is certainly one of the saddest in history. It's said that he spent his final days in a small house with next to no money, constantly writing letters to his 13 children. Joe and Mark kept control of the company throughout the entire legal drama over the course of the 90s. And in fact, Joe Shoen is still the CEO of U-Haul to this day. Joe Shoen is worth almost $4 billion, and his brother Mark a whopping $4.6 billion. Today, U-Haul is worth an incredible $10.5 billion, with approximately 186,000 trucks, 128,000 trailers, and 46,000 towing devices. And although the company has certainly had its fair share of ridiculous dramas, it's still the leading truck and trailer rental company in the country. U-Haul is considered not only a successful company, but one that also changed the lives of Americans forever. Before U-Haul, moving across the country was only a viable option for those who could afford expensive moving services. But their budget-friendly rentals changed that. U-Haul claims that the annual mileage of North American U-Haul trucks, trailers, and tow dollies would move a family to the moon and back more than 9.9 times per day, every day of the year, which is certainly a staggering statistic. And to think that Leonard Shoen, who started his business with only $5,000 and a dream to be able to support his family, died penniless and alone at his own hand is almost unbelievable. But that is exactly what happened. Hungry for another fascinating business story? Click on the following video to hear the crazy story about the boy who grew up in the slums and created Oracle.